Hi, everybody, and welcome to High Scores, High Stakes Game of the Month Club for May 2026. And I'm your host, as always, Mr. Luvva Luvva. And with me are my co-hosts.
How you doing, Luvva? It's Cardinal Smith here. How's your face?
Fine, yeah. How's your face?
Well, for the last 6 weeks, I've tried to grow a beard like yours, and to be honest, I don't like it. But
I mean,
your beard
it's
as
a
well.
solid attempt for the first attempt. It's Tomahawk.
Well, you always remember your first.
Hello. Indeed. Game of the month, and we're here as trio. This is a sight to behold.
It is.
Things you love to see on the podcast.
The prodigal son has returned.
And just in time for the series finale as well.
Yeah, now he's back. There's no excuses. No excuses, Cardinal. Every week, let's go. The people have been clamoring for the dulcet tones of Cardinal Smith.
100% attendance record until the end of 2026 is required now. You're on report.
That's it.
Good to be here. Thanks.
The people can look forward to get right in their calendars, weekly Final Fantasy reference back again, like the Renegade Master. But yes, this is High Scores.
Corporate performance improvement plan for him as well. Just going forward. Just before we get into the usual stuff, anyway.
Are you finished?
Yes.
No, I could go on, but no.
Time is of the
essence.
essence.
So if this is your first episode of High Scores, High Stakes.
Go on ahead, Cardinal. Cardinal wants to be there.
Yes, you've got it. Take the ball. Run with it.
You know what? It's been so long I can't remember. You can log on to highscoreshighstakes.com. Find out everything there. Join our Discord.
Can't do that. No, I'll take it over from here, Cardinal. Okay, because we all know every episode is somebody's first episode. Okay, it's somebody's first episode. So let's tell them who we are and what we do. We are High Scores, High Stakes, the internet's only competitive PlayStation podcast, where myself, Cardinal, and Tomahawk compete against one another in a PlayStation Gaming Challenge League. Every week we pick a game and play a challenge in that game. Winner of the challenge gets 3 points. Second place gets 2 points. Third place gets 1 point. But we're not talking competitive here. We're talking cooperative gaming, because the last Monday of every month is Game of the Month Club, where we pick a game and deep dive review the life of it and put it somewhere on our High Scores, High Stakes tier list. And the game this month, if you haven't read the title, is Bolt Blasters Spell Brigade, which is, of course, a Vampire Survivors top-down auto battling roguelike game, where you play the part of a wizard and you have to demolish hordes upon hordes upon hordes of enemies.
Many hordes.
There's many hordes. There's many hordes. So they are. But yeah, it is a
3D-ish space as well. It's a bit more fraught. It feels more fraught with danger than like typical Vampire Survivors.
I mean, yeah, yes and no. Yeah, it is. It's very much Vampire Survivors done by somebody else. It's heavily inspired by Vampire Survivors. I would usually look into the development of games like this, but as has been the sort of pattern of 2026, I really couldn't find much.
Oh,
I really couldn't find anything, to be quite honest. Maybe I was looking in the wrong areas, but I really couldn't find that much about where this game has come from and where it all has happened. To my untrained eye, I thought this game was linked with Magicka. Remember that game? Which was like a Diablo-like.
Oh, that's a while.
Oh,
that's a while ago.
Vaguely.
But I don't know if it does or not. But yeah, the research this month has let us down. It's been one of those months, to be fair. But yeah, that's what it is, and that's what we're going to be doing. But we're going to deep dive review this one. Vampire Survivors like Spell Brigade. I think
this is a fun one though. When we first got it, because we did get this early access for PlayStation. We were in a very lucky position to be able to sort of play it prior to the 1.0 release. So I think I kind of did a little bit of research. I know this was on Steam for a while, and it was by the time it come to console, it passed like a million player base at least anyway. So
wow.
Yeah, it was on early access from like April last year. I think it was almost a year to the date that it was in early access on Steam. I think it was. Is it still called Steam Greenlight? Is that what's called? Or just Steam Early Access these days? But yeah, it's been in the cooker for a brave long time, and there's a lot of game in this game. I think is
to be fair
to say. Yeah, there's a lot to talk. I think there's a lot to talk about. So let's respect our time and the listeners' time, and shall we just get straight into the review of Spell Brigade?
Let's do it.
Let's spell it out.
Okay, guys, Spell Brigade. Let's talk about Spell Brigade, shall we? So it is a isometric 3D vampire survivors, in which I think the biggest selling unique differentiator between this and Vampire Survivors is the fact that this is cooperative up to 4 players, which helps stand it apart from Vampire Survivors in a way. And it's also the gameplay. The gameplay is extraordinarily similar to Vampire Survivors, but it has also got a lot of little touches that help set it apart from Vampire Survivors at the same time, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, I remember watching the reveal trailer for this, and it was like in a nice little Saturday morning cartoon style, where the 4, like it's up to 4 wizard mage type characters, and they're all just kind of like standing, chatting or whatever, and next thing you know, what you can see is like the stampede of enemies behind them, and then one of them just kind of does that tap on the shoulder. So it has this like air of whimsy about it, and it shows them all running around. Their spell books are upside down, and they're just a bit inept, I think would be the way to describe it.
Yeah.
So I was quite excited for this, and then it shows the missile, like the magic missile barrage happen, and then next thing you know, we're getting friendly fire as well. So I immediately went, are we getting like a Survivor like Helldivers type game here?
yeah. I actually forgot about there was friendly fire, which the friendly fire is a really interesting sort of dynamic in this game, because we were all playing it last night with one another, but Tomahawk, for whatever reason, chose every area of effect spell that he could get his hands on. And that means that when you're close to one another and you have a permanent area of effect like Tomahawk had, it limits your movement and the movement of everyone else around you, because you're going to do damage to your friends, and the damage that those things do stacks, and it is repeated damage. And it does add this dynamic of you need to communicate in this game. I think is the easiest way, because if you're playing this cooperative, the gameplay is exactly like Vampire Survivors. It starts off really light with enemies. It lets you build your skills. So every time you destroy an enemy, they will drop mana crystals. You then have to pick up mana crystals to fill your experience bar at the bottom of the screen. Once it maxes out, you get a choice of 3 randomly selected skills. And the skills can do things like increase your spell damage, or increase your casting rate, or it can move your movement speed or your armor. And all these, you sort of have to work together to come up with a build effectively.
A good attack plan, yeah. I remember the first time we played this as a trio, and it was very much, we were locked in that like pick your stat menu. And the handy thing about this one, it tells you which player is still looking at the options. I think the first time we played this on comms, it was very much like, right, I'm picking this. Who's going to pick speed, or who's going to pick, like, and I think we did try and stay away from AoE stuff, because it can become a hindrance, especially early doors. Like, because obviously you get to like your level markers and you can stack them or improve on them, but yeah, communication is key in this one, especially with the friendly fire aspect.
Yeah, and then every time you level up your character, I think it's every 5 levels, you get a new spell. So that the spells can be orbitals, they can be area of effect, they can be an increased version of what you're currently using. And there's, I don't know how many spells there are in this game. There's loads of them, loads of spells. And there's loads of augmentations. I think the augmentations happen once you apply 7 upgrades to whatever spell it is, you can augment it with an element. So there's fire, ice, lightning, poison, and all this here. So a business which obviously has area of effect properties and all that sort of good stuff. There's there's a lot going on under the hood of this game. I would say there's more in here than Vampire Survivors. It certainly feels that there's a lot more going on here. Or is it just me?
I think the game communicates what you have in a better way than maybe Vampire Survivor does, where Vampire Survivor just kind of gives you the little icon and goes, does whatever it does. But whereas I think because of the pace of the game, especially early doors, it lets you show all of a bigger font effectively, I think. So it really, really explains what these things are going to do and how it's going to improve your run, basically. I had a really good time with what my upgrades were doing, and I wasn't just blindly picking, basically.
Okay.
I don't know that I didn't really feel that I knew what the upgrades were going to help me with. Like I can see this is an area effect thing, this is how this works, but what was better than the other, or what enemies is that going to help me with? And I didn't really know what to expect. What enemies were going to come at what time? Do they all behave the same? Does some work bit different in different terrains? Because terrain differs throughout the maps. And in terms, when you compare it to Vampire Survivors overloads you with blanked out characters that you haven't unlocked yet, and blanked out abilities you haven't unlocked yet or have, and various options of power-ups and things. Whereas this has what I can see like 3 or 4 add-ons that you can get, abilities. Are you capped at that from what I see at the bottom of the bar?
So at any one run, you can't have any more than 4 different spells. So you start off with your basic spell, and then you can add 4 more on top of that.
Yeah.
And then you can upgrade each spell. I think it's 21 times, I think, because you can augment the augmentations definitely happen once every 7 upgrades per spell. And I think you can add 2 augmentations to each spell, and then you can prestige it. And once you prestige it, it changes the weapon completely.
Oh.
So it does. There's a lot going on here.
Prestige one.
When it comes to knowing what the upgrades do, I'm firmly in Cardinal's camp here. I think it's a problem Vampire Survivors also had, where it gives you a sentence and tells you bare bones information, like this will increase. Some of them are really obvious. Like when it comes to upgrades to movement, attack, casting, and all their business, it's so obvious. This will increase your casting by 7%. And if you hit, when you're in the upgrade menu, if you hit L1, it pulls up your current build stats, so you can see what that number is going to go to. And I feel those parts are really well communicated, and I think this game does a better job than Vampire Survivors at communicating that bit because of the stat window that you can pull up as you wish. It is the new spells. The new spells don't really give you any indication of what they are, first and foremost, what they look like and what they're going to do. It will give you bare bones information, this will drop a bomb behind you. Okay, when's it going to cast? What's the casting speed on it? Is it a firebomb? What does this mean? And then there's a few really strange ones that are really cool in theory, like the spikes that fall from the sky is a really good idea.
Or the spear barrage, yeah.
And the pillars, you can place 3 of them and it creates like the energy field in between them, is all really cool. But you only know what these things do by experimenting, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that. I am fully of the belief that there's spells in this game that are far more useful than others. I could not find a use for put these spikes in the ground and an electric field comes across, because the enemies move so fast and the damage it does is absolutely negligible, and it is a funny one, because I think I've made point that if I'm not playing with you guys, I was doing a couple of solo runs just purely for mix and match and see what builds are best. On
that point about I chose an AoE type character, I would say that the Moon Mage has the best looking skin, or the Sun Mage has the best looking skin in the game so far. And that's purely the only reason I pick it. For the fact that it's got an AoE, I know it's a massive, massive hindrance.
It's a huge
on every other,
hindrance.
especially in a multiplayer situation. But yeah, I mean, the skins are dependent on the character's abilities. That is a little bit of a negative mark on that one there. But
I really like the character design in this game. I will say that my favorite character is the guy with the moon for the head, because he has
that's what you're currently playing at the minute. Yeah,
he has a boomerang weapon that's great. Like, the boomerang weapon is so versatile, and if you upgrade like the distance you can throw it, you know, it'll just pass through all these enemies, damaging them all twice. Do you know what I mean? You thought you damage them.
It is cool. Like, all the characters have their base abilities, because it is just like, I'm trying not to like use the Vampire Survivor comparison too much in this, because
I don't think you can talk about this game without talking about Vampire
You can kind of
Survivors.
see you can see a lot of the influence, and you can see kind of like Vampire Survivor is that kind of standard, really, and everyone's kind of, that's what the follow up on. Because I play a lot of sort of Dungeons and Dragons as well. I have this like idea of just chaos players, and this is exactly like why I feel like this is such a nice game to play, because I love that chaos energy even when I'm playing D&D. So I kind of have that same vibe, that same setting when I'm going through them, just like, more please.
Yeah, it's, I don't think, how do I put this? I think there's a lot to like in this game. I think the concept of Vampire Survivors Plus, which is basically what this is, that this game does a lot of things. It's Vampire Survivors, but it does enough for me to give it its own personality. I think the art style on it's really good. I think it's really strong character design. I really like the design of the enemies, but what I like about this game is Vampire Survivors is purely arcade driven. Kill as many things as you can, and there's really, the thing about Vampire Survivors is it doesn't really have like a win condition, because once you get to a certain output of damage, the run ender appears and just eradicates everything on the screen, including you. You can kill the run killer, but it's not a prerequisite for the game, if that makes sense. You can just succumb to the run killer, and then there's no punishment for it. Whereas this game, it segments its runs quite well. And again, the way it segments the runs is completely randomly generated. So it will be different time frames of where these like mini games appear. So every run will have mini games appear. Some of them are there was that one where you have to stay inside like a small circle and kill enemies inside the circle to fill the bar around to cleanse the area.
Oh yeah, cleanse the area, like do a sacrifice or something like that.
Yes, it's called sacrifice. Yeah. And you have to kill enemies whilst you're inside the like demarked area. And then there is the collect the mushrooms, kill the golden slug. There is the one where there's unstable orbs that you have to kick into, like
push them into the into like an area as well. But like and even that is one where if you don't do it, they explode and hurt everything in the area as well. So they all have like a 2-3 minute time limit on them as well. And the map markers on them are minuscule if you're not paying attention, especially with everything else going on. So if you see that ticker, if you see that clock counting down and you're not paying attention as to where they might be, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. And the thing with this game is those mini games are like your key to success in your run, because if you complete them, then you'll get a choice of an augmentation. And the augmentation can be, I have seen so many of these things in my playtime of this game. So if you're playing it solo, it'll be things like as your HP drops, your damage will increase and your chances of a critical hit will increase. It could be the more every time you level up, your armor will match your current level and things like that. Whereas if you're playing it in co-op, it'll be things like if you stand closer together, you do 20% more damage. Your explosions will heal your teammates rather than hurt them, and all this here business. There's loads
like
of these.
Your AoE will do healing to your players and stuff. So like the Sun Mage that I have offers like that AoE. It's like the garlic in Vampire Survivors. Anyone inside it deals some kind of damage. You can augment it to fire, lightning, or if you're in the co-op situation, it can augment it to healing.
Yep.
But still deals base damage to everybody else. Like so, but yeah, you don't really unlock those unless you're doing the objectives. You can skip through them, but as you say, they are when you get to end game. If you're not doing them, you're going to struggle.
Like they are key. One of the best ones that I've seen that I've used is there's a 1% chance of getting health every time you pick up an orb, like a mana orb.
Oh, okay.
And I have farmed that one something fierce.
Because that's it. Once you pick it as like a base level like spell, you will continually get them in the run until you max out. Or, you'll sporadically get it throughout your run until that spell slot is effectively maxed out.
Yeah, I don't think there is a max out, I don't think there is a max out of any stat in this game. I have never maxed out anything.
Because I noticed that some of them have like, the little glowy orbs underneath, and that shows you sort of what level it's at. But actually, funny enough, you should say, I don't think it actually has a cap. I think it can be augmented and then just stacked upon that as well.
Yeah, you get. I think it's every 7 you augment, and then the final augmentation is it's called Ascension, where the weapon will change. So, like I think with my guy, once you ascend his boomerang, it becomes like a ninja Death Star with swords on it, and it does crazy damage. But yeah, I don't think there's like all your stats can be like you can boost your stats into the stratosphere. Like I finished a run there the other night on it where I had like 250% luck, and luck is an underrated stat in this game. I will tell you that much right now. So luck dictates anything that's a logical chance. So that 1% chance of getting health every time you pick up an orb, if you have 200% luck, chances are every single orb you pick up, you're going to get the health, and you can just farm it. Plus, it also dictates what your random selection of augmentations or skills are going to be. Whereas there's tiers to the skills you can get. There's common, there's legendary, and they're all different colors. There's white, there's grey, there's purple, and there's red. Yeah. Red are the best ones, but I think you have like a 2% chance every time of it appearing for you to get one of them. Boost your luck, and you'll get at least a legendary every single time. And the legendaries,
is that what the luck's for?
Yeah, it dictates anything that's like has a percentage chance. It increases that chance, and it's like exponentially.
It's a good thing you're here to explain this, because I sort of thought that your luck was like tied into your idea of being able to do critical hits.
Yeah, if it's governed by a percent chance in the game. So things that it impacts is your skill selection, how many enemies are going to drop useful pickups like health or whatever. It just dictates everything. If it's like a percentage number beside it, luck is going to impact it, and it's exponential impact. So every time I see a luck, I'll be like, "Don't know what? I'll boost my luck by 7%, by 8%, whatever it might be," and it's worked out wonders for me. Every run I've successfully completed, I've had high luck, and I've really focused on DPS. That's the two things I really focus on. I never focus on armor. Never.
I've never seen a successful completed run.
I have got on a solo run, I've got to, I think one of the bosses is Soulfish.
Yeah.
Like they're all like, you get your common enemies and stuff, but by the time you get to your end game boss, who has like 3 armor bars and like a standard health bar, and they're all this like eldritch horror equivalent of these like bugs that you've been fighting now. one time I've got to a boss run, so I haven't actually completed a full run myself now.
Yeah,
where it's like this is where it differs really well from Vampire Survivors, is that it actually gives you a fighting chance against this guy.
It has a win condition, and I really like the boss fights in this game. I have beaten the first two. Me and Cardinal last night got to the third boss, which is like a Hydra dragon. It was brutal.
He's this big tail kind of whooped me, like smacked me silly.
And it pulled like spikes from the ground and dropped things from the sky and swung its head around. I love the boss fights in this game. So the bosses I've had is the big slow guy in the first sort of level. The second one is a frog. And the frog is really cool. The frog one is my personal favorite so far.
Kragwa, the bloated one. Sorry, I've got all the enemy lists up here now as well.
So the frog, I love the boss fights in this game. If the boss fights are really well thought out. So the frog, they all have 3 phases. So they have 3, each individual health bar on top. It indicates the phase, and it has 1 large armor bar at the bottom, so you can't do damage to the boss until you take away its armor, and then you'll start damaging the boss. And the frog's first phase is really simple. It just sort of attacks you, spits things at you, uses its tongue, and jumps around after you. Once you get it down to phase 2, it creates like a Fortnite style storm, and it shrinks the play area hugely. And if you stay in the storm, it damages you constantly. And then the middle, the frog will be in the middle of the play area, and it will breathe in to pull you towards it, so it can just damage you constantly and make it really hard to maneuver around the common enemies that are in the area. And then in the third phase, it shrinks the play area again, and instead of him sucking in the air, he blows out, trying to push it into the storm. It's the boss fights in this game are so well thought out, and if your build doesn't have a high enough DPS, you are never beating them. But I've beat the first 2 bosses. I've got to the third boss, so I got annihilated. Another thing I want to say about this game, and what I really, really, really like, is single player.
Yeah.
The difficulty curve of every run is flat for the first 3 or 4 minutes, where it's too easy. But because it's too easy, you don't get enough mana to really advance your levels. And then suddenly it just switches on you, and it becomes brutally hard. Like, this game is hard. And I don't know if it's a fair hard. And if you're playing it in co-op, it scales that difficulty. So if you're playing with 2 players, then the enemy count is doubled. If you're playing it with 3 players, then it's trebled. If you're playing it with a full complement, a full lobby, then it is 4 times the amount of everything on screen. And that difficulty curve becomes, for me, I think it becomes a lot more logical, where there doesn't seem to be a spike in difficulty. It builds it far more smoothly in the multiplayer than it does the single player. The single player is like, oh, this is too easy, let's start like ramping up the enemy count. And the enemy, as the game goes on, obviously the enemies get stronger and stronger and stronger. And because of the lack of leveling up resources in the early part of every run, you feel really weak and unable to cope with what the game is throwing at you. And it can end runs super quick. It gives you lives, though, this game. I think in the single player, it gives you 2 revives. And
you say revives, I say stratagems.
Once you exhaust them, though, it starts a counter, and you have to stay alive for a certain amount of time, and it will rejuvenate 1 more revive. So you could endlessly play this game, but I love it when you respawn, you explode into the level.
Good. It's so satisfying as well.
It's not the only correlation with Helldivers too, right? This is a co-op game. Yes, you can play it by yourself, of up to 4 players. You die, you get picked up, or you respawn and you launch back down on the ground, or respawn there and destroy everything. That's great, but the element of friendly fire is
so good. Like
brutal. On top of what Love has described as the difficulty that scales so much, and especially because there's more of you, there's more enemies.
Yep.
Being close to each other, is that an advantage?
Idea. No.
Because it's brutal,
no.
But are we supposed
Whenever
to be
we're
together?
playing it, it's a laugh. We always just shoot off in 3 different directions and just go do our own thing, and then we come together for like the objectives, and then we disappear and do our little loops and circles.
And Tomahawk, I can't be near you because you're surrounded by a circle of death.
Okay, this also doesn't. Yes. Yeah, this is a bit of a funny thing about the AOE on this, because it is what it is. I'm going to play this build, and this is the hill I'll die on. But obviously, whenever you play it solo, your pickups and your upgrades and stuff are scaled to the solo player, but they are tripled when you are play, depending on how many players you have. It's probably like doubled, and if it's only 2 of us. So by the time I'm getting to like the first or second level, where it's like, oh, increase your shield size or increase your area of attack, it's like already asking if I want to increase it by 25%.
Yeah.
At like level 2.
I like the element of friendly fire. I do. But this is an auto battler where you have 0 control over what your character is going to do, and your area of effect is controllable because you control where your character moves.
It's centered on me. Yeah.
My character throws a boomerang at a random enemy, and if Cardinal is standing in front, behind, beside that boomerang, there's a high chance it's going to do damage, and the damage that does is it's no less on your friends than it is the enemies. So
and this is even at like level 1, an enemy will do 100 base damage.
Yes,
that's crazy.
You're doing 70. Like it's
crazy. The damage output on the enemies is mad.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a balancing thing. I don't know if that's like you're playing this bullet hell idea.
Yeah, it's strange. Go ahead, Cardinal.
No, I knew the word balancing might come up.
Yes, there's so little balance in this game. It's crazy. Like it takes, when you start a run with my character, it takes 4 throws of a boomerang at level 0 to kill something. So it takes 4 hits to kill a spider, for example, and that sort of doesn't ever go away. Like the discrepancy in power between you and the enemies. The enemies are stronger than you massively, and I don't know if that was an active design choice. It clearly was, but I think I said
does it play into this idea that you are like newbie mages and stuff? So like
maybe
that's like the narrative that's baked into the game, that you are like finding your feet, and it just you're just thrown into the deep end, and yes, your damage output is going to be lower than the enemies, but yeah, it's this constant underdog, and no matter what you do, they're always going to be stronger than you, and exponentially.
That's my problem with this game. My biggest problem with this game is I'm going to compare it to Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors is roughly the same, only the bats, you kill them in 1 hit. 2 hits, depending on character. 2 hits seems fair. But there comes a point in Vampire Survivors where if you have done your run correctly, you become an absolute wrecking machine. And that is what kept me going back to Vampire Survivors, to become an unstoppable force of nature. Spell Brigade, I have never felt powerful in Spell Brigade. And I have played about 9 hours of this game, and there's not one run where I have felt powerful ever.
And I wonder, now that it's released as version 1.0, this is it out there. Is this part of a plan to make you play longer to earn those, abilities, unlocks, powers, upgrades, and things? Because there's a lot to unlock. There's a lot to upgrade, and it's expensive to upgrade as well.
Yeah, so like each run, it's that you can increase your base health. Each run, you can increase your shield, or you can increase your attack output, and you can increase a lot of stuff. Like each level has, I think each stat has like 4 or 5.
Has 5, and then you can ascend it. So there are.
It is expensive.
I think it's 15 elements you can upgrade. I think, and each upgrade has 5 different levels, and they exponentially get more expensive with every upgrade. So it starts at about 150 gold, and it winds up at 700 gold, and the ascension is 1,000 gold, maybe 1,100 gold.
Seems to me like it's a game that if you're like in for the long run, you're grinding out to be proficient in one class or one like caster type, I think.
See, I don't know because the game takes great pleasure in giving you so many options to experiment, and it's one of the greatest strengths of this game. Like all these games, is I try to avoid doing the same things every run just to see if there's a more, what's the word I'm looking for, like efficient build. And I always try, okay, I did this last one, so I'll do something different this run. I've played this game for 9 hours. I have beaten 2 of 4 bosses. I have unlocked 1 wizard and 14 permanent upgrades in 9 hours. And those permanent upgrades are absolute game changers, because up until I unlocked maybe 5 of them, I don't think I had any fun with this game at all, because I was just being annihilated constantly
by the bugs. Yeah,
and you were relying so much on luck with your in-game upgrades. Like there's Vampire Survivors, as you survive, you regain small amounts of health. This game doesn't have that unless you buy it or you get it as a perk in run. It's little things like that kind of forced, again, it pushes the scales of power totally in the computer, sort of in the enemy's bark, and everything just feels really unfair on you, the player. And I would look past it if the rewards for runs were sort of like correlated in any way with the effort you've just put in. Now, the runs in this game, a successful run, I think, takes about 20 to 26 minutes, depending on how much DPS you can do. That's how long it takes.
That sounds about right, yeah.
But you more likely not, you're not going to have a successful run. You're going to die, and you're going to walk away from a 15-minute run with 150 gold. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me?
To be fair, I think for other games of this similar genre, like I've been playing, like even kind of Ball Cross Pit for a while.
Yes.
You could do a 15, 20-minute run on that, and I would argue that is a harder game. Your reward is much bigger.
Yeah, and it's the same with Vampire Survivors.
Vampire Survivors inundate you with gold and rewards and stuff like that as well.
Every run you felt like you were achieving something, and it's not here. Unless you beat the boss, there's no sense of achievement, because you're going to see the stats at the end of the game. You're going to see a reward of like 170 gold for 22 minutes where you thought you were doing really, really well, and then you go to the upgrade page and you can't afford the upgrade because you've got 13 others, and your next upgrade is 600 gold. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, that's 4 runs. That's an hour and 20 minutes.
I think this is a good game. I think this is just released, and it maybe needs a bit of balancing.
100.
I do think it's difficult, and that it is punishingly so, and that the rewards are limited right now. But what it's missing when you play Helldivers and Vampire Survivors, because those two games I mentioned, they reward you and they spark that little happy juice in your brain.
The dopamine hit.
You go, oh, I've unlocked this because I've spent 20 minutes doing that. Oh, I'm able to afford that. Oh, I'm able to do that. Where this is much more of a grind. And that might be enjoyable everywhere, but I wonder, is it going to bring in and pull the amount of people the game could? Because I don't know that it offers that early enough.
Well, we were talking about this slightly before recorded. It had hit like 1 million player base, like just after or just before it went 1.0. So like there is an interest there, but as you say, like, is this difficult? This is a huge difficulty spike by comparison to other Survivor likes.
You say it hit 1 million player base, but there's what Luvva, you said there was 3,500 people playing it on Steam.
There was 3,500 just before we went live on Steam. Yeah.
So we'll see where it is in a couple of months.
The waters, yeah.
And this is the thing. We need to see where this game is going, because there's a good game here.
Yeah,
there is. I can see the potential of Spell Brigade. I really, really can. But I think the initial grind, and you can spend your gold on a wizard, for example, like I did. I spent 1,200 on a wizard.
Ooh-wee.
And when I realized what I had done, that it just cost me 4 or 5 upgrades, I regretted that decision, and I was like, don't know what, I'll just make it back. And then that's when I started paying attention to how much rewards this game was giving me, and it was so little that I got buyer's remorse in a game. I was like, I shouldn't have bought that wizard. I should have bought X, Y, and Z.
This is a laugh for a game that we got like an early access review key for, and we're like sitting there going, oh god, we have to like use the in-game currency.
I have it just, I think I said to you guys about 3 hours in, and I was like, this is missing something. It looks like Vampire Survivors, and it kind of feels like it, but it's missing something. And I think what it was missing is, as you said, Cardinal, is one thing Vampire Survivors is good at. Vampire Survivors is possibly too good at it, is those dopamine hits that it gets you. You know, you really, really, really feel like you achieve something every single run. It could be you've unlocked a new character, or you've unlocked a skin for this character, or you've unlocked a new spell or a new skill or X, Y, Z. And you can do that in this game, but the game is like, you're not getting that time. For free.
No, I'm going to argue on the other side of this then, because I think that Vampire Survivors, obviously, for as good as it is, and that dopamine hit, and you feel all lovely, you've vanquished the thing that's definitely not a vampire in that game. Just saying. You become too powerful too quickly, so by the time you've then spent all of your upgrade points, you're invincible from minute 1 in another run of Vampire Survivors then, whereas like I quite appreciate that this is like you have to find your feet in each run, you have to find out what works each time, you have to kind of play about and experiment. You can't just dump all your stats after one run and be invincible forever. Then I think
I get that. Yeah, I get that. I do get that. What I like about this game, though, is in saying all that about how unfair it is and how grindy it is, and it is a grind. There's no doubt about it. I am nearly 10 hours deep into this game, and I've done about a third of the permanent upgrades. A third, if even. You're talking 30, 40 hours to get every single like permanent upgrade. You can refund them all. If you really, really want to try a different type of build, you can refund all of your upgrades, and there's no penalty on it. And then just
come back at a discount rate. That's good.
Yeah, no, you get your full value out of them, and you just sort of distribute them around and try like a different style of build. That's grand, but I think for a game like this, it needs to be sharp, it needs to be immediate, and there has to be a sense of achievement. And I think that's the ingredient that this game is missing is the only achievement really is killing the boss at the end of the game, and even getting to the boss is difficult. I love the Vampire Survivors, the Spell Brigade core gameplay, which is it's all movement, and it is you've said the word. This is a bullet hell game. It's a lot more intense than Vampire Survivors because of the way it's been designed, where there's choke points, there's funnel points, there's dead ends, and it's all designed around you will learn the layout of this map and you will learn to utilize this map, and every map has its own unique terrain. So
no, don't, because I was so used to playing the first map, which is like the Mad Forest. Effectively, it's like you see open grassy plains and a few kind of stone, as you say, funnels and choke points. And then we booted into your game, and next thing you know, we're in like near a volcano or something, and there's lava on the floor, and that does passive damage to you as well. I freaked out. And then we went into a snow level where if you go onto the snow, or if you go through the bushes, you go in like half speed, or if you go into the ice, you skate and you slick about the surface, and it doesn't just affect you, it affects the enemies as well. And I wasn't ready. And I knew like I probably should have expected that.
But it's great because it adds another layer to the gameplay where you have to make those split-second decisions. Like in the lava, it's all very generic. Let's not get it wrong. It's grass, snow, fire. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, is it worth taking the risk of, do I go through the long grass to hopefully get a little bit of breathing space? Is it worth the risk of getting that scroll by scooting across the frozen lake? Is it worth the risk of me running across the lava to get to whatever it is there, the health pickup or whatever it might be? And it adds like an element of sort of there's a lot of strategy in the moment-to-moment gameplay here. I think the moment-to-moment gameplay is really, really, really good, and that's why I kept on coming back to this game, because I love that there's strategy involved here, a strategy that Vampire Survivors just doesn't have, because Vampire Survivors is all just infinite flat.
It's an infinite map effectively on Vampire Survivors. There's no border or end point for those level, unless you're playing like the library or anything like that, which has a definitive end and top, bottom, that kind of way.
And there's the odd sort of like L-shaped wall, but this one is a map. There's a map, and design has went into the map, and it changes how you approach everything. Like one of my successful boss fights was in the snow level, the frog, and I literally just lured the frog onto the lake and just ran around the lake with my orbitals and my boomerangs and just literally circled until he jumped away and then shrank the thing. And then it's like, okay, what else can I use here? And there was a rock, and I was like, I'll use the rock just to start
able to use the terrain and the actual environment itself to like an advantage as well. It's just like, while we're kind of talking about plans and strategies and stuff, I only really have played this on the Portal. I can't say I've ground out any time to play this on console. I assume we're all in the same boat.
No, I've played it on TV.
You've played it on the TV as well.
Yeah, I have played it on the main screen. But I will say what Love is describing just then is depth in the game and replayability, which is hugely important.
Yeah, I mean, the moment-to-moment gameplay in this game is great. Like, there's a lot to love about the moment-to-moment gameplay. I really like it when it gets crazy and like the bullet hell elements come out, where there's insects firing fireballs at you and they're just swarming everywhere, and you think there's no path out until you realize that the hitboxes are really precise for a game that looks like a kid's game. The hitboxes are really precise, and there's a stat called dodge, and for the longest time I was like, what does dodge do? And what dodge does is if you touch an enemy, it rolls a dice and says whether it's going to hit you or whether you're going to dodge it. And if you build your dodge and your luck, all of a sudden you have a higher percentage. You're not untouchable. You're never invincible.
Yeah.
But you can start weaving paths through an endless wall of enemies. And if you have like an orbital, you're dropping the bombs, you're dropping the mines, and you've expanded the size of all your spells. There is a real like flow to this game.
This is where this game sort of excels in like the 3D space effectively, because Vampire Survivors, you effectively share the hitbox with the enemy as long as you are sharing pixels.
Yeah.
Where that doesn't apply.
No.
As long as you can kind of, in a perfect world, you would be able to shimmy your way through a crowd with enough wiggle room.
Yeah.
And you could do it rather effectively in the Spell Brigade's 3D space, which is really nice in a tight situation. Whereas I remember my experience of Vampire Survivors was like, there's a crowd. That's the only way I'm getting out of here. I'm going to just run through and hope I don't take stacked damage. And that's exactly what Vampire Survivors does, is stacks all the damage. Whereas this one does it, but doesn't do it as harsh, I don't think.
I think this game does it harsher than Vampire Survivors. I think one thing I will say is the damage stacks, and it stacks extraordinarily quickly, which is the way it should be, because that's just an element of the genre of, if you run head first into a group of enemies, you are going
everything's going to hit you, and everything should hit you at the same time. Yeah.
Everything hits you at the same time, and there's a lot to like in this game. There's a lot of depth in this game. I just wish that the reward system was reworked to make it a lot of runs. If you have a particularly bad run the last 10 minutes, I feel like you should get something. It's an issue I think fighting games have, and the reason why people don't like fighting games and don't stick with fighting games is that there's not enough incentive to keep someone coming back. And I think this game has kind of stumbled into that, where it's great when you win, but when you don't win, it feels like a little bit like a waste of time. Then what was the point in doing that? And it kind of demotivates the player. In a game like this, you need the player to constantly want to log in and constantly want to play it. And
it's a good party game. That's how I would sort of best describe it.
It really is. It really is. When you get, like last night, us three playing it together, I had a really good time, like sort of just attempting that lava level, which is the one where I've got to the boss with you, Cardinal, and I've got it 2 or 3 times by myself. Never beat that boss. I've never beat that boss. And I was like, maybe we could do it with 3 of us. But it's fun.
Thanks,
you get into a flow with it.
Tomahawk left.
There is a flow to it.
I did.
And it's one of those ones, when it's on the PlayStation, I'll do one more run. But do I feel the same pull as what I did with Vampire Survivors? When it's I want to play a game, I'll play Vampire Survivors. I haven't felt that, but when I turn it on, I'll play it. Then I play it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny game, and I don't know where to put it on the tier list, because there's a lot of great stuff here. I think the variety in the magic is really, really, really great. And watching the trailers and other people's gameplays of it, I don't know if you used to have watched anything of this on YouTube, have you?
Little bits and stuff. When it's the how to do the best build for this, and I'm like, the best build is a subjective subject.
I don't even bother with the build videos. No, just watch just watch someone completing a level, like someone who's half decent, and some of the the stackable skills are crazy. If you have those posts that you drop down and the electric comes in between them, I've seen teams of 4 all pick that part up all at the same time and just create like ring fences, and they've obviously boosted the damage, they boosted the time,
you can
the spell,
boost it so you can create closed loops and stuff with them as well.
Closed loops where they've just corralled all these enemies into, and just the enemies just get disintegrated. And I saw there's another skill where you basically draw a trail behind you, but it's a damaging trail. It's just, some of the magic in this game looks class, but I can't help but feel that that's so far down the line of upgrading X, Y, and Z or unlocking wizards. I think what would help with the balance of this game is if you didn't have to pay for the wizards. If there was criteria you had to meet in previous runs,
like objectives and just like find them or rescue them as objectives or something would be quite a nice way. I think because
they're so expensive, and you're going to play the way you're going to play this game. I think people will find meta builds and their preferred builds, and I like this weapon, I like that weapon. I think if there was, no one's really going to want to spend $12.50 on a wizard. Do you know what I mean? In game gold. I mean, whereas if you just had like incentives, like maybe survive for X amount of minutes, or do this much damage, or complete this many runs and unlock the wizards, kind of like what you do in Vampire Survivors. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cardinal, you do not have to use in-game currency to buy the heroes in Vampire Survivors, do you? You unlock them.
You unlock them by doing particular challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Challenges, complete levels, complete stages, that kind of thing. That's how the Vampire Survivor roster's unlocked. Yeah,
that works. I would say,
like if that became like go and rescue the Moon Mage or something like that, that would be a really cool way to unlock a character. Extract them or do something like that in that kind of Helldivers format, or however you want to do it. Like your wizards wizard them away.
Find the trapped wizard and just take them to an exit point. That could be another one of those wee mini games. Escort them, and they can cast spells as well, and all that sort of business, and make a game of it. There's a lot of potential in this game. I can see the vision.
Something
and I think
else I do want to say as well, because we talk about like the urgency about this game and how like this kind of feels a bit more, let's just take our time, but also there's a lot going on at the same time. The music certainly doesn't help. And when I saw when I saw this reveal, when I saw this getting for reviews and stuff like that, and I saw Austin Wintory's name attached to this, I thought we were going to get this absolutely banging soundtrack, and it was going to get us all pumped, and we're going to feel invincible to this like power ballad of magic and mayhem and stuff. And then we go bow, 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 jazzy elevator music. And then I'm like, oh, it's very chill. There's no drive. There was no the urgency in the music.
When the bosses come, the music changes, which I do like, but none of it's exactly let's go music. It's very calm. It's very banjo and kazooie type music. It's mood setting music.
Very lounge.
Yeah,
ASMR.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think the music's bad. I just think
it's very, very well put together piece of music, but I think
tonally at odds with what's happening on screen.
Exactly.
So it is.
Whereas, like, again, we're gonna have to do a Vampire Survivors episode just to balance this out now. But it's like dun 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 dun, dun is so memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And that just fits the tempo and fits the pace and what you're doing forever in the game. Whereas I will forget the score for the Spell Brigade pretty easily and regularly.
It's I think it's music of its time. And what I mean by that is if someone asked me to hum the theme of a Marvel, let's say Marvel's Avengers, I couldn't do it. But if I heard it, I would know instantly that it's the Avengers thing.
That connection, yeah.
And I feel that's what the music is of like this. If someone asked me, hey, what's the music sound like in Spell Brigade? Don't know, mate. But then if they played it on their phone, do you know what the game this is from? I'll be able to go, that's from Spell Brigade. It's the exact same problem. It's good, but unmemorable.
And at the same time, I exactly remember a guitar riff from a Formula One game from 1996 on the PlayStation.
Of course you do.
So,
of course you do.
Why wouldn't he? Because why wouldn't he?
Is there anything anyone wants to bring up about Spell Brigade? It's a game with huge potential.
Graphics, gameplay, currency, music.
We usually talk about narrative, but there really isn't.
There isn't a narrative. I maybe if you were to again, it's more just the small things. If you put it as like little objectives of like, you know, maybe go and find spell pages for your mage school or whatever it is that you're part of. If it's silly wee bits that you can just do it as like lore.
Yeah,
it's silly bits like that. It's negligible stuff. Like
you could also go ahead, Cardinal.
No, I don't need story.
No,
you know, throw me in, but yeah. Go for it.
One thing I will say is just since we're kicking it when it's down a little bit here, the random elements that I have been on record. I do not like roguelikes. I don't. I don't like. I can handle one level of randomization, and that's fine. But when you start stacking randomization on top of randomization on top of randomization, that's where I have my issues, because the game...
The blueprints paradox,
because if you add so much randomization, it starts feeling unfair. And, you know, I start asking... with blueprints, it came to a question of, is this actually random, or is the game just trying to screw me? Do you know what I mean? I had that a little bit with this, not to the same extent as blueprints. I stopped playing blueprints because of the excessive randomization of it. The little challenges that appear are just randomly pulled, and it's a random time of game.
Yeah.
If you get one of the challenges, like they kick the unstable cores into the little area, if you get that early in the game, it's an easy win. But if you get that 20 minutes into your run, it is impossible to do that.
Desperate, yeah.
And then you're missing out on an augmentation just because of the randomization. That's it. That's another thing I have kind of against this game, where it's like, how am I meant to do that when there's 10,000 enemies? It's not like the most jaw-dropping beautiful game you'll ever see, but like Vampire Survivors before it, that doesn't matter. When you are running around and there's spells flying everywhere and there's thousands, like literally thousands of enemies on screen, and the game is just going like it's doing nothing, it will never not impress me. And this game has impressed me from a technical standpoint, because not once have I seen any technical slowdown, any drop frames, any screen tearing, nothing. And I have seen screens with thousands and thousands of enemies and spells just flying everywhere. Just impressive.
Well-deserved praise.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. The one thing I will say, we talk slightly on the randomness before we get to the wrap-up. You know when you can damage the crates and get new scrolls kind of just randomly? Have you ever come across the runners? There's a percentage. They're not chests. They're enemies that can run away. They're mimics, effectively.
Yeah, I love that, because I spent after you guys dropped out, I did the next one and got one for the first time. I've never seen it before, and I was like, that's genius. There's also that enemy type. They look kind of like the celestial emissaries from Bloodborne, but what they do is they have like purple like blisters on their body, but they run around the level picking up any mana that you haven't picked up, and they're stealing it. And as they steal it, the purple boils get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the only way I get them back is by killing them. It's just, there's little parts of this that are just strokes of genius. I just wish the game was more fair with the player when it comes to upgrades and stuff like that. But where are we putting this game on the high scores, high stakes tier list for new listeners? It is a hugely original tier list. It goes from S tier to D tier. S tier is a masterpiece. A tier is a great game. B tier is a good game. C tier is it's mid, and D tier is don't even bother. where are we putting this on the tier list, gentlemen? I came into this conversation thinking, and I knew where I was going to put this. I've changed my mind discussing this. I came into this discussion thinking, do you know what? This is a C tier game. This is mid. But on reflection of how I feel about it, I know this probably has really sounded like a really negative episode. But I think
we've been pretty balanced. I think there's a lot of good to the. There's always going to be bad in the games as well, and I think just for the genre, I think there is such a gold standard for, like we've talked about it. We mentioned Vampire Survivors before. I'm going to mention it again just because why the hell not? When there's that gold standard, we're always going to be comparing it.
Yeah, I think I give Vampire Survivors an S tier when I reviewed it last summer for this podcast. I stand by it. It's an S tier game. This I thought I was coming to this conversation to call it mid. I was going to give it a C tier, but I think there's a lot of good in this game. I'm gonna give it a B tier. I think it back. I give a C tier to Firebreak. It's better than Firebreak. Yeah. It's a B tier for me. It's a good game. It has, if the developers stick with it, if the players stick with it, and this gets a good roadmap, I think you could be talking a great game. I don't think this will ever reach masterpiece, to be honest. But right now, as it stands, it's a good game. So B tier from me.
And there you have it, the love of B tier. I will say I fear Vampire Survivors. If we come to call it a game of the month, it means I'm going to play it again.
You've just got off it, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, hook that stuff into my veins because I just want that dopamine hit. Yeah. This has that potential to do it. And I wonder if some of the decisions taken are to have separated from Vampire Survivors. Yeah. But just don't fear it. You're obviously a very talented Belgian group of developers. Just bring it home and deliver me my tasty, juicy, gold-covered rewards after each level. And I'll come crawling back on my knees. It's a B tier from me.
Unanimous. As you say, a clear roadmap. I'm just going to mirror everything you guys have said, really. As long as there is a clear roadmap, as long as there is a vision and that vision is executed, this game could have a really, really good positive future. If there's a bit of balance that is addressed, there is maybe updates. Like we are forgetting this game went 1.0 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it on the 29th of April, it released a 1.0. Like,
it has gone 1.0 for, not even 4 weeks at this point. It is, usually these games go into early access and stay in early access for like 4 or 5 years. Yeah. This is in early access for like less than 18 months.
1 year, yeah.
1 year. The guy, they've Bolt Blasters have smashed this. They've actually done a brilliant job. It has got a few hiccups and bits of bother. We've addressed that, but there is an essence of a good game here. Really good game. It's a B tier. It's 100% a B tier for me. Okay, I don't think it's with updates and a good roadmap. Maybe in a year's time, that's an A tier. We shift that. It's not a C tier. I think there's too much good, slightly clouded in this early release.
Yeah, I would love to see, if you're listening to this, what I would love to see is an endless mode. So you start at the grass level. If you defeat the boss, then you instantly the level changes into the ice level, and then you go through that. Do you know what I mean? And it just scales higher and higher and higher and higher. That'd be class. I'd love to see that. That would be a massive differentiator from Vampire Survivors. Just like an endless mode or whatever. Yep. High scores, high stakes at gmail.com.
Sorry, yes.
Is there?
It is accessed by enabling the Eternal Bond Covenant. So it's an unlockable feature. So you can, I think the Covenant features are all like you can turn off friendly fire. So I think it is just something that is going to be unlocked by achievements and completing runs. So I imagine if you can complete all of the biomes. It's not very clear. That's not. No, I didn't know that existed. I had to Google that, to be fair.
That's the sauce.
If that, yeah.
That is the sauce, boys. We're playing it, unlocking that, because that is going to be the sauce. But yes, let us, you know what's also saucy? The wrap-up section. Let's go. And that is it, gentlemen. Another game of the month all wrapped up, which means we have to announce what June's game of the month is. And it is, of course, a big one. A big one. It is Cardinal Smith's Game of the Year 2024, despite the fact it came out in 2023. Cardinal, what game was that?
It's your boy, the Wildcat, Stray.
It is Stray. It is Stray. We are going down the indie route once more, and we're going to come back with the internet's definitive opinion on Stray next month. But before that,
exactly,
we have to do the housekeeping. So if this is your 163rd time of listening to us, or your first time listening to us, and you have enjoyed what you have heard, but you have not yet give us a rating on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on, 1 star to 5, wherever you think we're worth, that's what we get. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, that like button, do that now. And
do it.
If you haven't shared the podcast with a family member or a friend who you think will enjoy it, our analytics tell us that you're watching or listening to this on a phone. Hit that share button, get it in WhatsApp, and send it to someone who you think will like it. Or if you think someone will hate it, but they are your enemy, send us to them as well. We don't care who you send it to.
Hello? Is that my bill provider, electricity bill? Well, listen... You may not be able to give me a discount, but you should subscribe to High Scores, High Stakes podcast. Thank you very much.
That is it.
And all my former employers are getting a message now.
And if 1 hour-ish a week isn't enough to get your High Scores, High Stakes fill, get on over to highscoreshighstakes.com, where you can find every episode we've ever done in video format with little mini reviews for every challenge game we have ever played. And of course, there is a little store in there. No pressure.
No
pressure. But with all of that being said, Cardinal Smith, Tomahawk, I have nothing left to say except I'll be Mr. Luvva Luvva. This has been High Scores, High Stakes Game of the Month Club. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month. Love you. Bye.
Au revoir.